Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the Week 2 NFL slate on DraftKings. We got 13 games this Sunday. We're going to go through each position, talk about 3 or 4 guys I like at each position that are going to be a part of my core. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm going to just touch on a few guys I like at each position. We'll kind of talk through the slate, talk about roster construction, how I feel like you're going to want to build a lineup, where you're going to want to spin down at, maybe where you want to pay up at, and just kind of talk about some of my favorite plays on this Week 2 slate. Before we do get started, I would definitely appreciate it if you guys would drop a like on the video. If you are new to the channel, if you have not subscribed yet, make sure you click that subscribe button down below, ring the notification bell so that way you get notified every time I upload any videos. If you have any questions, any comments, any feedback, feel free to leave any feedback down below in the comment section. Reply to all your comments, so if you have any thoughts on this Week 2 slate, if you want to ask any questions, feel free to do so down below. And like always, you can follow me on Twitter as well, at the DFS_GOAT if you do have any questions. But let's go ahead and take a look at this Week 2 slate. Starting off at quarterback, this really feels like a position where you have a lot of good values. There's a couple values that really stand out to me. Jared Goff, Ben Roethlisberger, and Josh Allen were kind of the 3 guys I was really keying in on, especially for like cash games. I think cash games this week, you probably want to pay down at quarterback for one of those 3 guys. Those are the 3 guys I'm really keying in on. I really like going Big Ben to Juju. I like that stack. That's probably going to be one of my heaviest owned, or one of my higher owned quarterback receiver stacks is Ben to Juju. Josh Allen to John Brown, I think, is a stack I'm going to be going to a lot. I do like Josh Allen a lot here against the Giants. Really good matchup for Josh Allen. 20 DraftKings points in the Week 1 game against the Jets, and he honestly didn't look that great in that game. He could have been much better. Josh Allen is a guy that gives you a lot of upside passing the ball. He can rush as well. He has running upside, and it's a really good matchup facing a very bad Giants team and a very bad Giants defense. Josh Allen is probably one of the better pay down options. Big Ben looked terrible in that Sunday night game against the Patriots, but he's someone I'm going to be very heavy on in this game at home against the Seahawks. Big Ben, just throughout his career, has always played well at home. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks on the slate. I don't think he's going to be that popular either. So for tournaments, he's going to be someone I go pretty heavy on. And that, like I said, that Big Ben and Juju stack is going to be a quarterback receiver stack I play a lot of. And then Jared Goff's another guy I'm looking at. It's between him or Josh Allen on who I'm going to use in my cash games for quarterback. I really like Goff here a lot at home against the Saints. This is one of the more appealing games on the slate in terms of implied total. Right now it does have one of the highest totals on the slate. I think it actually does have the highest total. Yeah, it's got the highest total right now, just under the Raiders-Chiefs game. Raiders-Chiefs game's at 52.5. This Saints-Rams game's at 52. This is a game we definitely want to get exposure to. I expect Goff to be better here. He's a quarterback that's always played well at home as well. Kind of like Big Ben has always done well at home. And this is a game that just has a lot of shootout potential. Really like Jared Goff as a pay-down option at 5,900. Him, Big Ben, and Josh Allen are kind of the 3 guys I'm keying in on for value. But if you can pay up, I think Patrick Mahomes is in a great spot here against the Raiders. We're going to talk about some Mahomes options like Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce. I think those 2 guys are top plays at their position. Mahomes, though, one of the best quarterback, or probably the best quarterback in the league right now. He's the best quarterback for fantasy, has the most upside. He has rushing ability. He can throw for 300 yards pretty much every time he's on the field. It's a great matchup with the Raiders as well. Really bad Raiders defense. Only thing that worries me is maybe the Chiefs get up too big here and they don't really need to throw the ball that much. But still, I think Mahomes gives you the most upside out of any quarterback, and he's in a great spot. So if you're paying up like the Mahomes to Sammy Watkins stack or Mahomes to Kelce, I think makes a ton of sense. But I really like some of the values we have at quarterback this week. Those 3 guys I talked about, those are the 3 guys I'm really going to be keying in on for my quarterback plays. For like tournaments, I guess you could like mix in a guy like Derek Carr at 5,100 as a value quarterback. He could be playable if you're looking for a cheap option. Maybe someone like Andy Dalton against the 49ers could be an option for value. Don't really want to go to Trubisky, don't want to go to Kyler Murray here. These mid-range options don't really appeal me because I feel like I'm either going to be paying down like 6K and below, or I'm just going to be paying all the way up to Patrick Mahomes. But Lamar Jackson's in a really good spot. At 6,700 though, that's a very expensive price tag. He's coming off an insane game in Week 1 where he went for 36 DraftKings points. A lot of people are going to go to Jackson this week, I feel like. He might be someone I go underweight on in tournaments, especially if he's going to be somewhat popular. It's a great matchup against the Cardinals. The Cardinals are a team that's going to play fast this year, going to allow opponents to get more possession. So really good spot for Lamar Jackson, but still I think I'd rather play Mahomes if I just have to choose one. But in my tournament lineups, I'm for sure going to have some Lamar Jackson lineups just because he's one of the higher upside quarterbacks, kind of like Mahomes. But let's move on to running back. This is another position where there's a lot of good pay down options. I want to start off with those pay down options because they're just where I'm really looking at. Under 6K, there's a couple guys that really stand out. One guy that's a potential kind of wait and see. We're going to have to wait and see the status of Joe Mixon. But if Joe Mixon is out Sunday, Gio Bernard at 5,300 probably becomes a cash game staple. And for tournaments, he's someone I'll be pretty heavy on as well. He's going to see massive usage with Joe Mixon off the field. If Mixon does sit, he'll probably play about 80% of the snaps. He'll get a ton of carries. He's involved in the passing game as well. He can catch passes, which is very valuable on DraftKings, getting a running back that has the ability to catch passes. And I do like the matchup with the 49ers. I think Gio Bernard's going to be someone we key in on as a value running back. If Joe Mixon sits, he's going to be a staple of my lineups. Same for Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is going to be a value running back that I play a lot of in this Week 2 slate. He got a ton of carries in that Monday night game. Wasn't very involved in the passing game, which is a big concern because this is a game that you feel like the Raiders are going to be trailing and are probably going to have to throw. But still, Jacobs is getting a ton of carries, 23 carries in the Week 1 game. Only one target, like I said, that's a big concern that he wasn't involved in the passing game, but he still feels like a workhorse back, whether they're trailing, whether they're playing from ahead. It feels like Josh Jacobs is going to be on the field regardless. And only 4,700 on DraftKings. With them being in the Monday night game, Jacobs didn't get his price fixed for what it should be. He's still way too cheap. If they would have played on Sunday, Jacobs would be like 6K, 6,500. So we definitely want to take advantage of this $4,700 price tag. That KC Oakland game does have the highest total on the slate, right there with the Rams-Saints game, so that's going to be a game we also want to target for fantasy, and I think Josh Jacobs as a value running back is going to be one of the best options. Him and Gio Bernard feel like two cash game plays right now. And then there's even more value. There's a guy like Devin Singletary who could be an option. He's 4,200 against the Giants. If you want to go to him, I think he does make some sense. More for tournaments, I think in cash games, guys like Gio Bernard, Josh Jacobs, maybe even Chris Thompson, those are going to be the guys we want to look to for cash. But for tournaments, Singletary is going to come in a lot lower owned than those guys. He's still kind of, quote-unquote, the number 2 back. Frank Gore is going to get some work. TJ Yeldon's going to get some work. But Singletary got a lot of usage in the passing game. Saw 6 targets, 5 catches for 28 yards. Also got 4 carries. He was very efficient, 70 yards on 4 carries. Hard to predict him averaging 17 and a half yards per carry. But still Singletary, I would imagine as the season goes on, he's going to become the number 1 back for the Bills. So in a tournament, he makes a lot of sense as a lower-owned guy in cash games. I don't think he makes the cut. I just don't think we need to go there this week. And then Chris Thompson's the guy that I like a lot. I feel like he's someone that might go a bit overlooked this week, but he feels like one of the better running back values. Just given the matchup with Dallas, a team that's probably going to whoop up on the Redskins here. The Redskins are probably going to be playing from behind. They're going to have to throw. Chris Thompson is the running back that's going to be on the field if they're trailing. They're not going to be running Adrian Peterson out there if they're down 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. It's going to be Thompson in the backfield getting a lot of work in the passing game. Obviously, Adrian Peterson's going to be the starter, but I expect Chris Thompson to see a lot of work, especially in the passing game, and that's very valuable on DraftKings, getting a receiver or a running back that has receiver-like upside that can get double-digit targets. So at 3,900, I love Chris Thompson as a value running back. Feels like another 3 running back week. We're probably either going to be paying up for one of Barkley, Elliott, or Kamara, and then you're going to be playing 2 of these value guys, whether it's Jacobs, Gio Bernard, Chris Thompson, Singletary. Just kind of choose your favorite. Right now, I'm kind of leaning Gio and Jacobs as number 1 and 2, but if Joe Mixon winds up playing and Gio comes off the board, then that's going to open up Chris Thompson at 3,900. But in this mid-range, there's a couple guys I wanted to hit on in the mid-range before we go to the top. So in the mid-range, I think Austin Eckler is going to be someone I play a lot of at 6,100. He was very good in that Week 1 game. I didn't expect him to get as much volume as he did. I thought it was going to be a 50-50 split between him and Justin Jackson. That wasn't really the case. I think Eckler got like 18 touches and Jackson got like 6 or 7, something like that. Eckler got 12 carries, 6 catches, got into the end zone, or got a rushing touchdown, also got 2 receiving touchdowns as well. It was a monster game from Austin Eckler. He's going to be the number 1 back with Melvin Gordon. not on the team right now, not playing right now. Eckler's going to see the volume. He's still only 6,100, so he feels like a really good play in this mid-range. He's going to be someone I look to a lot in my tournament lineups. Also, someone like Chris Carson. Tougher matchup against the Steelers. Steelers have a pretty tough run defense, but Carson is getting workhorse-like volume, and he's only 6,400. He got 15 carries in the last game against the Bengals. He got passing game work as well, which is something we really like to see. That was something we didn't see much last year, but so far this year in that Week 1 game, Carson looks like he's going to be the workhorse back that we want him to be, getting 6-7 targets, getting double-digit carries, probably close to 20 carries. Like I said, tougher matchup with the Steelers, so he's more of a tournament play. He was someone I liked a lot in my first look video, but as the week kind of goes on, we've gotten more value and stuff, so I don't feel like we're going to need to go to Carson in cash, but in tournaments at 6,400, as a workhorse back at that price, he feels like a really good play. And then if you're paying up, I think it's between Barkley, Elliott, or Kamara. I was pretty high on Saquon Barkley to start off the week. I think he's kind of going to be behind Kamara now. I feel like Kamara is probably the better option for 1,000 less, especially for cash games. Kamara is probably going to be a lot higher owned, so he's probably the guy you want to go to in cash. I'm going to have exposure to all three of these guys in tournaments, Barkley, Elliott, and Kamara. Right now, I think I'd rank them Kamara number 1, Barkley number 2, and then Elliott number 3, but it's very close. I'm not going to be going like crazy heavy on either guy or either one of these three guys. I'll probably have like maybe 35% Kamara, maybe like 25 Barkley, 20 Elliott. I definitely want to have exposure to all three guys. Don't want to go too heavy on any three because I think all three are in really good spots, especially Elliott and Kamara. Elliott facing the Redskins defense, they're just really bad. Elliott should be getting a ton of carries here. Dallas should be playing from ahead. They should just feed Zeke this whole game. So he's in a great spot. Kamara's facing a Rams defense that just got torched by Christian McCaffrey. Kamara looks like he's going to be a workhorse back, going to get 15, 16, 17 carries a game, going to see 8, 9, 10 targets a game as well. So he feels like a great play as well. Saquon Barkley's in a tougher matchup against the Bills, but he's just one of the best running backs in the league, especially for fantasy, so he's pretty much playable every week. But that's kind of where I'm looking at running back this week. Now, at receiver, I feel like this is a position we're going to be able to pay up because of all the good values we have at running back and because of some of the values we have at quarterback. I don't really love any of the top receivers. I don't feel like any of them are going to be staples in my lineups. If I have to choose one, it's going to be Michael Thomas against the Rams. He's the guy I'm really keying in on, especially if I do game stacks of that game, which I'm sure I'll have in a couple of my tournament lineups. I'll have some game stacks of that Rams-Saints game. At 8K, Michael Thomas looks like a really good play if you're paying up, if you want to go to him. Like I mentioned, I love Juju Smith-Schuster this week. I expect a bounce-back performance from him. I'm going to have a lot of Ben to Juju stacks, 7,500. He's one of my favorite spend-up options at receiver as well. And then the next guy, Sammy Watkins. I feel like Sammy Watkins, not really point chasing here, especially now that Tyreek Hill is out. Sammy Watkins is going to be the number one receiver for the Chiefs. Him and Kelsey are just going to see a ton of targets every week. Obviously, the 49 DraftKings points game, you can't expect that here, but you can expect him to get 9, 10, 11 targets. Probably going to get 100 yards, might even get in the end zone. There's a good chance you get 20-plus DraftKings points out of Sammy Watkins here. It's a really good matchup with the Raiders, so he looks like a top play as well. Thomas, Juju, and Watkins, if I'm paying up a receiver, those are probably the three guys I'm looking to. But there's some value at this position as well that I want to talk about. When you get 5K and below, there's a couple guys that really stand out. So with Tyreek Hill out, that's going to open up potential values, and Hardman, 4,800. Did see a big price bump. McCole Hardman is 4,800, which is more than you would want to pay for him. But it's not like Kelsey and Sammy Watkins are going to get all the targets. Mahomes is going to throw the ball to other guys like Hardman. Hardman is one of these guys, I think he's really, really fast. I'm not sure size-wise how he is, but I know he's a pretty fast receiver. And he's been highly touted as a guy that has a lot of upside if he gets on the field. And you would imagine with Hill out, that's going to lean to more snaps for Hardman. He's 4,800. He did get a price increase. He's not a cash game play, but for tournaments, if you're stacking him with Mahomes, I could totally see doing that, especially if you're playing a couple Raiders. There's a couple Raiders I like this week, so doing game stacks of this game does make some sense. One of those Raiders I really like is Tyrell Williams. He's still really, really cheap. He's going to be one of the best value receivers. Looks like a cash game play at only 4,400. Saw 7 targets in that Week 1 game against Denver, 6 catches, 105 yards, and a touchdown. With Antonio Brown no longer on the team, Tyrell Williams is going to be a guy we look to for value. he's way too cheap. He should be like 6K, 6,500. The fact that he's still 4,400 easily makes him one of the best value receivers on the slate. So he's another Raider that I love this week. It's going to be a week where we have a lot of Raiders be highly owned, but they just stand out so much when you talk about points per dollar, how they project value-wise. Tyrell Williams looks like a great value. Josh Jacobs looks like a great value. When we get to tight end, we'll talk about Darren Waller, and he still is really, really cheap. But for receiver value, Tyrell Williams, going to be a guy I play a ton of this week. Then there's a couple other receiver values you could go to. I think John Ross, 4,600, is definitely in play for value. I don't think you need to go there in cash games, but for GPPs, he's going to be a guy I look to a lot. Saw 12 targets in the Week 1 game against Seattle. Can't expect that this week. I believe Andy Dalton did throw the ball like 50 times in that Week 1 game, and I don't expect that here. But John Ross is going to see targets with A.J. Green out. It's going to be Boyd and Ross getting a lot of targets. Don't expect him to have a 37 DraftKings points game again, but he's still very cheap. I like the matchup with the 49ers. Richard Sherman will most likely be on Tyler Boyd. I know Richard Sherman is not the cornerback that he used to be, but that should lead to a better matchup for John Ross. So as a value receiver, he's going to be someone I look to a lot, but this position for value, it's all about Tyrell Williams at only 4,400. But that's kind of where I'm looking to receiver for this week. Kind of talked about the guys I like if I'm paying up, the value guys I like. This mid-range, there's not a ton that stands out to me. I think there's a lot of plays here, like if you're stacking that makes sense, like Brandon Cooks if you're stacking the Rams game, Cooper Kupp if you're stacking the Rams game, but I don't know if these guys are going to make like my cash game lineup just because I feel like the value at this position, like John Brown's another guy I like a lot if you're playing Josh Allen, and if you want to pair him with Josh Allen, I could see doing that. But let's go ahead and move on to tight end. Talk about this position. Travis Kelce at the top, I love this week. I think he's a top play. He's a guy I'm going to be trying to get in as much as possible. If I can fit him in my cash game lineup, I'll be trying to do so. He should just see a massive amount of targets with Tyreek Hill out. It's a great matchup against the Raiders. He should have scored last week. Mahomes missed him on a wide-open throw. I expect he gets into the end zone this week. 20-plus DraftKings points almost feels like a lock for Travis Kelce here. So at 7,300, if you can fit him in, I think he's a great play. Like I said, there's not any optimal cash plays. I feel like you have to go to a receiver if you're paying up. Like there doesn't feel like any locks to pay up for at receiver. So this is probably going to be a position in cash where I look to get Kelce in if possible. But there are some good values I want to touch on. There's two guys I really like for cheap. Delaney Walker at 3,500 and Darren Waller at 3,300. If I'm not paying up for Kelce, those are going to be two guys I look to for cash that are going to be in my player pool. Walker in a matchup with the Colts I like a lot. He saw a really good amount of volume in the Week 1 game, 6 targets. Nice amount of volume for a $3,500 tight end. He got 5 catches, 55 yards, did get into the end zone twice, 22 DraftKings points. Can't expect him to score twice again here, but if he's going to continue to see 6, 7, 8 targets, and he's only 3,500 still, then Delaney Walker against the Colts defense that is pretty bad against tight ends feels like a really good value at tight end. Same with Darren Waller. He played, I believe, almost every snap for the Raiders in that Week 1 game. I think he actually did play every snap, didn't come off the field. Got 8 targets, 7 catches, 70 yards, 14 DraftKings points. Another tight end that's just going to see a lot of volume. Is very cheap. Pretty good matchup with the Chiefs. A game where you expect the Raiders to be throwing. Darren Waller as a value tight end feels like a very good play as well. So he's in my player pool for cash. Delaney Walker's in my player pool for cash. But if possible, I'm going to be trying to pay up for Travis Kelce as much as I can at this position. I think Travis Kelce just in a smash spot this week. But now for defense, just quickly going over defense. I talked about Houston in my first look video, and I think they're the defense I'm looking to a lot for cash games this week. At home against Gardner Minshew or whatever his name is. Don't expect him to be that great of a quarterback. Houston's at home. They're a cheap defense. They're playing against a backup quarterback. They're playing against a team that has a pretty low implied total. They're pretty heavy favorites, I believe, as well. I think Houston's like 6 or 7 point home favorites right now. I have to check real quick. Actually, they're 9.5 point home favorites. So great spot for Houston at home. I think they're a top play at defense. They're a team I like quite a bit. But other than that, I don't really see any other defenses like to stand out. I mean, defenses isn't a position I usually try and spend too much time on. I usually want to talk about 1 or 2 defenses, and I think that one defense I want to talk about is Houston. So that's kind of it for me for defense, guys, and I think that is it for this video. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. Hopefully it did help you. If you enjoyed, guys, make sure you drop a like before you get out of here. I would really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Be sure to ring the notification bell as well, so you get notified every time I upload a video. And if you have any questions, if you want to give any feedback, feel free to do so down below in the comment section. If you want to give some of your thoughts on this Week 2 slate, feel free to do so down in the comment section below. And like always, you can hit me up on Twitter. Feel free to DM me on Twitter. Follow me at the DFS_GOAT if you have any questions as well. But good luck this week, guys. I really appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed, and we will see you next week.